Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! We'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast, Week 18 edition. If we were mimicking the Chiefs, you and I and Patrick, Verderam, Price, everyone else should be on the inactives list, and like Richard should be hosting the show or something like that. I don't know. It's a crazy mixed up turnaround week where the inactives list reads like the list of Chiefs Pro Bowlers or highest paid players, which just kind of looks silly when you look at it. We're only glad the Chiefs aren't actually playing for anything at all today. Otherwise, that inactives list would be like, yikes. I'm here with Adam Best, as always, in the pregame. Adam, this is our first time hooking up here after the holiday. How was your holiday, and how are you feeling coming into Week 18?
It was great. The Chiefs took care of business on Christmas Day. Netflix servers held up about as well as the Chiefs defense did. So without Chris Jones, so no problems there. Great holiday. Hope you had an awesome holiday as well. This is just weird. This is the most uneventful regular season Chiefs game I can even remember. Even in 2020, when they basically didn't play anybody against the Chargers, they had already clinched the season with where they went on to lose in Super Bowl 55. 2 teams were getting the bye. It just didn't feel like this much of a ghost town, the roster. You know, I mean, we know that those 7 guys are the inactives. We might not see the Chiefs' 20 best players on the field today.
Yeah.
I would certainly expect that we won't see their best 10, 12, somewhere in that ballpark, but nobody really knows, right?
And it'll be exciting, to see some of these younger guys. I know a lot of Chiefs fans are like, what am I watching for? What is there to watch? What's that? We'll get to that because there are things to watch for. There are repercussions, you'd say, this week. But just to lay out officially what this means, like for the Chiefs, this game means nothing. If they win, maybe you'd say they get the glory of ruining the Broncos' postseason plans. That's worth something in terms of any rival against one another. But honestly, like, who's flinching against Bo Nix in the postseason anyway, if they make it, versus Joe Burrow? Let me ask you this. The Broncos, they're playing for all the marbles today. If they win, they're in. That, like, every team wants that scenario right there. Winning, you're in, controlling your own destiny. They're at home today. They can win against a rival, even if that rival's trotting out, second and third stringers, role players, whatever. What do you think about, like, if the Dolphins lose? I'm sorry, if the Broncos lose, then it's the Dolphins and maybe the Bengals. Of those 3, is there a team you'd rather see make the postseason?
I want the Bengals to miss.
More than the Broncos.
Yeah, really when it comes to the playoffs and playing the Chiefs, the only teams that I've ever seen either beat the Chiefs or come close have elite quarterbacks. Talking Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, maybe kind of sort of Lamar last year. So I think it's really going to take that. Bo Nix ain't going to cut it. Tua Tagovailoa, not going to cut it. You really have to have somebody, because the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen throughout this season, kind of this past month notwithstanding, is not the guy you're going to see in the postseason. His floor in the postseason is basically who's your MVP every season.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of stats he produces. So the only teams that really scare me are the ones that have an elite quarterback even someone like he's not in the AFC, but someone like Matt Stafford, who's good enough where if he gets hot, he can go toe to toe with Mahomes. Those are the guys you'd like to avoid. So if we could see the Chargers, the Steelers, the Texans, the Broncos, and only have to face one of either Buffalo or Baltimore, that's the preferred path. And it looks like that's going to be the path.
Yeah. We will see whether or not that happens today. Denver, in control of their own destiny, like I said, is going to be very motivated here. It should be a rout. There's every reason to believe that Denver will be on their A game while the Chiefs literally trot out the opposite of their A game. But crazier things have happened in the NFL. Let me run kind of a bigger picture idea here by you, Adam. And I'd love your thoughts on this. We'd also love your thoughts. By the way, if you're watching here, leaving comments, let us know what you think in the comments of this too. I was thinking the other day about the Chiefs season overall and all these injuries and everything that's happened. And I just began to think this season has gone ideally for the Chiefs. Like not for the players at all, because several guys have missed a lot of time and nobody likes to miss time. But here's what I'm thinking. The Chiefs are 15-1, and you and I could go to, I think even casual fans could make a laundry list of all the players who've, like, without wide receiver 1, without wide receiver 2, without running back 1, without cornerback 2, even down to third kicker at times, right? That's how dire things have been. Omenihu out for most of the year.
Jalen Watson, CB2.
Right. All all of that has taken place. So you miss all these guys, but here's what I'm thinking. Not only have the Chiefs taken care of business and locked down the number 1 seed like they had their best players all year, but then I started looking at the snap counts of guys so far down the food chain, like Christian Roland Wallace, for example, has nearly 200 snaps on defense this year. In other words, the Chiefs have not only achieved everything they want to, not only are they at full health heading into the postseason with like looking brilliant right when it matters, but they've also had like several games worth of film of tons of young guys who should have never even sniffed any playing time this year. I mean, like when you get several games to look at Najee Johnson, several games to look at Joshua Williams, several games to look at Christian Roland Wallace, you get several games to see more of like what wide receivers down the depth chart. Xavier Worthy has to take on more of a role within that. You see Mike Caliendo get a few starts in there. You've really been able to get a look at Wanya Morris and Kingsley for better or worse. I'm just saying few teams have had this deep of a look at their own roster. This is the kind of evaluation I think like the Titans are able to do, or the Patriots, because they're just playing the young guys. The Chiefs have gotten that, as well as now they're going to like go into the postseason with all the guys, all their healthy guys. I'm just thinking I've never seen a contender be able to get a complete look at their roster top to bottom like the Chiefs have. And I think, how does that not serve them well in 2025 and beyond to know exactly what they have in house?
I think it serves them extremely well. And what a lot of the Chiefs haters, and I think the national football media misses, is, do the Chiefs have some luck? Sure. But there's so much continuity, so much experience, that even when things go wrong for the Chiefs, they still find a way to make them go right. And I think that is the most under-discussed thing of this NFL season. Of course, it's more exciting to talk about Sam Darnold and the Vikings, or everybody's darling, the Detroit Lions, or what have you. But the Chiefs, they are able to bounce back, to get through tough patches that other teams would frankly not survive. And even the Buffalo Bills, even the Baltimore Ravens, a team like the San Francisco 49ers, they had their season wrecked by the kind of issues that the Chiefs just ran over like roadkill. They are a different beast. They are a different animal. And now, this is a team that has played way more games than any other franchise during the Mahomes era. So they have very much learned how to survive and then turn it up a notch in the playoffs, flip the switch, as we often say. And that's what they have to do on a weekly basis in the regular season. Teams are gunning for them. They're coming in with enthusiasm that really the Chiefs can't match, because everybody in that opposing sideline is thinking, we beat the Chiefs, we're going to get a lot of attention. I play well against the Chiefs. All eyes are on me. So the fact that the Chiefs have not only survived this, but been the best team in the league through all this, when through much of the season, their quarterback didn't really have their fastball. I don't know that Andy Reid really had his fastball. Steve Spagnuolo, as consistent as they come. Not going to disparage Spags on this program, but it's just remarkable to me that they found a way, and everyone just kind of shrugs and chalks it up to like, Mahomes devil magic or something like that, because they happen to get breaks at the end of the games. But I think you make your own luck, and I also think there's a psychological component to all of this. When most of us grew up watching the Chiefs, we expected the Chiefs to lose. I think that locker room, even when they were winning, they expected things to go south. Now that they have Patrick Mahomes, they can be down by 10 entering the fourth quarter. I still believe that they're going to win. Yeah. And you best believe that offensive line, those receivers, all 53 of those guys, the entire coaching staff, they now believe that they're always going to win. And I think that when you have that kind of mystique, that kind of aura around yourself, other teams look at that, they get a little intimidated. And when things start going wrong for them against the Chiefs, they here we go again. I just think there are some things that aren't being discussed about this team's dominance, because frankly, we don't get into this position very often with a team with this much continuity, this kind of trajectory for this many years. The only comp really in modern history is the Patriots. And even the Patriots kind of had 1.0, then they had the long break, and then they had 2.0. So I threw a lot back at you, but does that all click for you, Matt?
It does. It does. I agree that not enough credit is going to be given. I think Andy Reid is coach of the year here for manipulating these situations and still having the Chiefs float this way. I think you're also tapping into the intangible Patrick Mahomes, like the inquantifiable nature of what he brings, where it's easy to talk about the stats. It's easy to compare the things. It's easy to even like generically talk about leadership or like the magic side of what he brings, like the marvel of plays. But some of that more nebulous, some of the more nebulous aspects of him
being over my dead body stuff, right?
Yes. It's hard to quantify that. So that makes it hard to talk about. And it can make you sound like a homer if you're just a fan. And other teams really don't want to hear that. And it's, it's like talking about momentum or something. It's like, well, like, how do you really break that? You can't break that down. And so, but Mahomes has it and the Chiefs have it, like it or not, they own it. And their record this season has shown just that. So yeah, I think this has really been an incredible season, kind of a magical season in a way, in spite of the injuries, maybe even because of the injuries in that way. Hey, let's go to some comments here. By the way, we got a super chat. I want to give a shout out. Thanks so much, Raymond Chandler. And he said, guys, if you knew now, would you have still taken Xavier Worthy or Ladd McConkey? I've got some thoughts there, but Adam, I'm going to defer to you here. What's your take on that? Remember, those guys went back to back in the draft.
Yeah. I think it's easy to say Ladd McConkey when Rashee Rice isn't on the roster. But when Rashee Rice is playing, there's a lot of overlap there. They are both kind of slot natural guys. And I think that if you're looking at it like which player complements Rashee Rice better, it's got to be Xavier Worthy. And someone mentioned it. I think it was Jesus in the chat said that I didn't like him coming out. Yeah, I was worried about the BMI. I was worried about his size. He's kind of a historical outlier, but knock on wood, I've been pleasantly surprised by his durability. Every time he gets hit, it looks like his bones are going to explode, but he gets up. He's tough. He's produced. I think he has some room to grow when it comes to the big boy receiver routes. And a lot of his touches are manufactured and kind of gadgety stuff. And he's such an athletic marvel that he can get by with that. But I'm going Xavier Worthy. I'm curious to hear if you have a different answer, though, Matt.
Yeah, no, I would go Worthy for the exact same reason that McConkey's redundant in some ways. Although having McConkey around would have been great this season. It would be great for the future. No, like McConkey's going to be a great receiver for a long time there. The Chargers have done well to replace like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams now with another, like Quentin Johnston's looking better, and then McConkey as well. But that said, I remember when we took Tyreek Hill in his first year, he made the Pro Bowl, but it was as that gadget player, like you said. It was manufactured touches. It was like part rushing, part returning, part receiver in this sort of, he adds value across the board here, but in like very
Dante Hollish,
ways.
right?
Yeah, very specific ways. And then it was on Tyreek to take it to the next level and say, if you want to be mentioned alongside the elite receivers in the league, you have to do the work to be better at route running, to be better at tracking the ball, to be better at contested catch. You need more strength in the hands. You need, it's about chemistry with your quarterback. And so it took time for him and Mahomes. We're seeing what's amazing is most of those guys don't make that leap. Most of the Tyreeks don't make the leap to be Tyreek. They stay the kind of gadget guy. McCole Hardman has never made that leap. He's just kind of stayed a weapon within a specific weaponized system for him. So that said, if a guy like Xavier Worthy can be another anomaly there, that would just be crazy to me because the Chiefs would have it's like the Chiefs getting Travis Kelce right after Tony Gonzalez. And you're like, how do they replace a guy? How do they replace an anomaly with another anomaly? And Worthy is on the cusp of potentially being, I'm not calling him that anomaly. I'm saying he's playing better than he's playing more tough than he should. He's playing bigger than he is. He's tracking the ball better than anyone thought he could. He's running more routes now at this point than anyone thought he was going to be able to do in the rookie year in Andy Reid's system. So he's already eclipsing the projections, already kind of putting aside the quick labels about him. Now he's got to do more work and say, okay, the game is slowed down. Now I could, like you said, it's the big boy routes kind of thing. It's so we'll see if he gets there. But the potential of him getting there versus a redundant McConkey, to me, I would still take Worthy. Yes.
And keep in mind, he's 21 years old. Lad McConkey is 23. Rashee Rice as a rookie was 23. He accomplished a lot in college. Xavier Worthy did a lot more than McCole Hardman, for instance. And he had an early breakout, which is a very good indicator that a guy is going to be a good pro because, you have a 17 or 18-year-old beating up on guys older than him instead of a 22-year-old dunking on guys that are 18 or 19 or whatever. So I'm still pretty high on him. Lad McConkey's a hell of a player, but and I think especially now that Xavier Worthy can kind of be the player he currently is instead of trying to replace Hollywood Brown, he can kind of be the third receiver, the wide receiver 3. Yeah, man, things are really clicking with those 3 guys, and the third one being DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Which brings up maybe wanting to keep Hollywood Brown around after this year, if he so insists. By the way, we just got word that the Titans won today. The Titans Titans lost today. The Patriots win, which means the Tennessee Titans may have the first pick in the draft. I'm seeing this in the chat. If that's the case, that pick for L'Jarius Sneed in the 3rd round could end up being the first immediate pick after the 2nd round, which makes that way more valuable than
it's basically a 2nd rounder. And the Chiefs 3-peat, they go back to back there. They pick 2 in a row. That'd be kind of fun. That's a lot of possibilities there.
I'll throw this out. They may want to keep that pick just because of the amount of prospects in the draft. But if a team only has, let's say, 15 to 20 first-round grades on their draft board, and you're picking at number 32, now they have exactly the kind of ammo they would need to move up into, like they did for Trent McDuffie, moving up and going, hey, there's only a couple guys left that we have first-round grades on. Let's go get one of them.
And the sneaky thing is that you actually trade the 2nd rounder, even though it will probably be only 1, 2, 3, 4 picks ahead of time, but just because it sounds better than the third rounder, which is essentially a glorified second round.
I love it. I love the way that worked out. Incredible. I hate the way it worked out for L'Jarius Sneed, by the way. If you're listening, L'Jarius, we feel bad for the season you had. Hey, we just have about 10 minutes before game time here, but Adam, I want to go over with you. Let's talk about this. For all the guys who aren't playing today, and just really quickly, let me run these down. By the way, the inactives list today for the Chiefs: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and Isaiah Pacheco, Jawan Taylor, Trent McDuffie, and George Karlaftis. That's already a load. But then when you look at the injury report, here are the other guys who were listed as out or doubtful: McCole Hardman, Nick Bolton, Jalen Watson. Obviously, he's still coming back. Justin Reed, and Drew Tranquil. Reading a list like that, it kind of makes you go, well, wait, who's playing today? So let's go to you on this. Let's look at the defensive side first. We were praising Spags. I just named a bunch of names, but those holes in the lineup, those guys not taking reps, means that other guys are going to get the chance to take reps. Are there one or two guys that you're looking at and going, hey, if other guys are clearing the way and they're going to get a real chance to play, I'm excited to see what they have to offer?
My eyes are going to be on the secondary. Christian Wallace, Jaden Hicks is a guy who's been playing more and more. I like what I've seen so far, but today he's going to have really a starting role and be on the field the entire time. Also, formerly CB2, but now the CB3 guys, Najee Johnson, Joshua Williams. Which one can you trust once Jalen Watson returns to kind of be on the field some? So those guys, of course, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, this is going to be kind of another extended pregame for him. Really an extended pregame for the Chiefs overall, which is kind of freaky on week 18. But those are the guys I'm really watching, and I'm a little nervous about them playing Charles Omenihu because he has really revitalized that pass rush since he came back.
Yeah.
Everybody's taken less reps. The offensive coordinators have one more thing to worry about. But if you feel like he hasn't played enough this season and he needs more reps, there is a case for playing Charles Omenihu. So that would be another guy to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Going to the comments, Kathy Welch says Bozeman would be nice to see. That's Swayze Bozeman, linebacker. Agree. That's going to be interesting to watch the linebackers today. How much playing time they're going to give a guy like Leo Chenal, right? Like, how much do you give him? Do you just throw in like Cam Jones and others in there, or do you give maybe Chenal a chance to kind of star there with more responsibility and see what he can handle? I don't know.
Hey, Leo, be Nick for a day. What does that look like?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It really gives you a chance to kind of experiment in a game that is rather meaningless. By the way, Joshua Uche, are we going to see him at all today?
I don't know, man. I think he's in the witness protection program or something. I think he's got a different name and he lives in Arizona. I just think Spags is not happy with him. Not his kind of player. They didn't click. He wants nothing to do with him. At this point, it would almost be a slap in the face for a player of that caliber to kind of just be a third stringer getting snaps when he's not going to play in the playoffs. But who the hell knows?
I don't know what to make of it. I hope to see him. I also hope to see they've held on to a guy, Marlon Tuipulotu. They've held on to him after acquiring him as a defensive tackle since the season began. He's kind of been a healthy scratch, but they've not left him poachable on the practice squad. So that signals to me they like something about this guy, but he's also not played. A guy like Ethan Driscoll, offensive tackle on the other side of the ball. Same kind of thing. A guy that kind of hid on the active roster without also giving him playing time. This is the kind of perfect week for them to go, okay, we've been hiding you. We didn't want to depend on you, but also we're intrigued by you. Let's see where that goes. So I think those guys are some to watch for me. What about, like, I kind of brought up the offensive side and leaked mine with Driscoll. Do you have other thoughts on that side of the ball?
Who's going to play receiver today? And how much are we going to see of one Hollywood Brown? there are kind of two different trains of thought here. The first being he hasn't played very many reps this season, and you'd like to get him out there, make sure he's in game shape, make sure he's got the timing down and all that, just kind of get his confidence back. But he's not going to be playing with his quarterback. So the value of those reps are limited, and he's not the most durable of cats, right? He weighs a buck, probably 60 soaking wet. And unlike Xavier Worthy, who's really held up, Hollywood Brown has an extensive injury history, and I just want to make sure that he makes it to the postseason. Same with DeAndre Hopkins. He's had some injuries. So I'm not really sure who you look at. Maybe you could see what an offense looks like with Noah Gray playing Travis Kelce. That's one thing you could look at. Maybe give Samaje Perine more of a look to say, hey, is this guy going to be a little bit more of the Jerick McKinnon than we thought, because he's a better receiver and better in pass protection than Kareem Hunt or Pacheco? Not the rusher that either of those guys are, but he probably is their best third down back. Outside of that, I'm kind of struggling. But, seeing Carson Wentz, we all know that those quarterbacks sometimes have to come into playoff games and keep things running. And with Andy Reid, the quarterback whisperer, if Chad Henne has to go in during a playoff game, even as a closer, don't wave the white flag, right? So I think Carson Wentz, right, is probably the big takeaway here.
One thing to watch, DJ Humphries is going to get the chance to play today. Andy Reid said, we'll see how he looks. They need to get him in a game. They need to put him against some real competition. Those Broncos, one thing they can do very, very, very well is get after the passer. Zach Allen, Benito.
Ooh.
They've got some real playmakers there up front. More so than I thought they would after losing like Chubb and Miller and some of those guys. They've like replenished that line quite well in the aftermath of some of those deals. So yeah, Humphries will be one for me to watch. By the way, I think DeAndre Hopkins can make like $1 million or $500,000 today or something with a big game. It's like he needs 14 receptions for $250,000 and a couple touchdowns, or another touchdown for another $250,000 and 140 yards for another $250,000. So I'm wondering how much the Chiefs are going to let him play for the finances. Versus
they did let Chris Jones do this, but that was a much more achievable thing. DeAndre, if you're listening, if you get a ring with Kansas City and everybody sees you in the Super Bowl, you're going to be about 5 to 10 times more famous than you are now. You're going to be a guarantee. You're on the cusp of being a Hall of Famer. You're probably going to get in. You're definitely getting in if you get a ring. You're getting in first ballot. So I think the opportunity, I know you don't mess with a man's money, but I think the opportunity to make sure you're healthy for the playoffs and can become a Super Bowl champion is the more lucrative route.
Well said. By the way, are we going to see 30 carries from Carson Steele or no?
Let's do it. Let's let the Gator
there
loose, right?
Well, folks, we're coming up on time here. Kickoff is coming up here in just a few minutes from, I think it's called Empower Field at Mile High. Boy, they're naming stadiums very oddly these days for the sake of whatever sponsorship dollars is going on. Are we going to pull an upset here? Are we going to see either Dolphins or Bengals in the postseason, or is it going to be the Broncos? What's your prediction for today's game?
I hate to say it, but the Broncos, Sean Payton's a good coach. He's going to have his team ready. He's getting an opportunity handed to him on a silver platter. I think he's going to capitalize. And for all the media talking heads, playing their small violins for the Bengals, they had 17 weeks to take care of business. They failed to do so. They choked some winnable games away. The Chiefs aren't causing anyone else's season to go awry. They shouldn't be penalized for taking care of business. They should be rewarded. That's why they're able to sit out. I think the Broncos are going to punch their ticket in the playoffs. But do you think there's maybe more of a chance for an upset?
I do. I think there are reasons that we've said Carson Wentz is the most talented backup quarterback we've had since Patrick Mahomes took over. I'm anxious to see what he can do. He played at season's end last year for the Rams and looked good doing so. I think I don't know. If you've been waiting for that, if he shows out well for the Chiefs at the end here, he's got a chance to take a step back into a starting, like compete for a starting role for another team, in one of those sort of like we'll bring in a veteran and draft a guy kind of scenarios. I don't know what Carson is wanting for his future, but if he does, he's got a chance to make some money today, as do several other fringe players. So it'll be interesting to see.
I see where your head's at, though. You're thinking about that kind of Matt Castle, Matt Flynn type trade a backup to another team kind of deal. We'll take a fourth rounder for Carson Wentz if he comes out and throws for 400 yards today.
I just think there's a little magic in the air at Mile High. Why not? Why not believe? The Chiefs are proving me wrong.
Certainly altitude.
Yeah.
Air it out.
Certainly altitude. Well, folks, that's been our pregame show for today. My name is Matt Connor, here with Adam Best. Our producer Richard is here with us too, and we're just always so glad to all of you forever watching, reading, hanging out, listening at all. To all of you in the comments, appreciate all of you. It's been fun to kind of see what you guys have going on. But come back with us. We'll be at halftime here with you. We'll see how meaningless this game is and how motivated everyone looks. Maybe everyone's just asleep because they know they can take 3 weeks off and it'll be a blow. Who knows? But we'll find out in just a few minutes here. No matter who's playing for the Chiefs, we're always rooting red and gold. So therefore, go Chiefs.